Post-demonetization, there have been worries about the independence of the Reserve Bank of India. Former RBI Governor Raghuram Rajan says central banks around the world do face political pressure on Donald Trump. He says the attitude of his administration on trade could in fact be a spoiler. Let's listen in to that exclusive conversation that Rajan had with CNBC.
I can't talk about India, but I'll talk about the central banks around the world more generally. I do think that central banks, by taking the actions that they have sort of gone beyond their ordinary sphere of operations and therefore exposed themselves to some criticism from the politicians. You are doing things that go beyond your remit. I don't think it's beyond their remit, but I do think that there is political pressure on them. They are occupying the place because they have been the only game in town that typically is occupied by the politicians. And the politicians don't like that, so they're pushing back. So in Europe, in the US, to some extent even in Japan, there is criticism of the central bank and a pushback on their powers. I think we are in the process of a global recovery. I think the IMF does verify that this morning, suggesting it too believes we are in the process of change. The clear issue is what happens when interest rates start moving up. What happens when currencies become more volatile as the dollar strengthens? And there are countries that are exposed at this point. Now, the question is whether the problems are contained in those countries. We know who they are: large current account deficits, a lot of dollar debt. Or do they go beyond the borders of those countries? So I don't think we still know for sure that we're in a process of stable recovery. We do have to weather the asset price volatility that will come as interest rates move up, but this is necessary. I do think that there is a significant risk, especially given the people in the administration who have direct inputs into trade. They have a record of saying they do want to negotiate a different arrangement with China. Now, if it is really a matter of negotiating rather than imposing high tariffs and so on, perhaps some of the fears can get mitigated over time. If it is a question of actually starting off a trade war, then it's not clear where it ends, because it could get pretty ugly pretty soon. It could draw in players beyond the US and China, such as the euro area, when the euro area is flooded with Chinese imports. So I think that we should hope and pray that we don't get unnecessary action on that front.